Okay. Today we're going to play with a block. So grab a yoga block if you have one. If you don't, grab a book, like something that approximates the dimensions of a yoga block. It doesn't have to be as thick. That'll be fine. But we are going to play with it. And so there will be sometimes if you don't have a block, you could also grab a have handy just like a small throw pillow on your couch, and we'll just play with that as we move. We'll incorporate it into everything that we do today, and we'll end with some meditation. But this will just kind of help us play. So I hope it's fun. I had fun planning it. And I'm just going to start sitting on my block. If you like to sit on a folded blanket or anything like that, that's fine. But let's just start by centering a little bit and just getting into our breath. And breathe in and out of your nose. You kind of rock your torso forward and back to really feel the grounding of your ischial tuberosities, your sitting bones, the bony part of the bottom of your pelvis. Just kind of feel yourself rock forward and back there. Until you can come to a place where your shoulders are stacked right over your pelvis. Tuck your chin. Lengthen the back of your neck. You can rock one ear from side to and over to the side and your other ear to the other side a couple times. And then bring your chin to center. Keep the length in the back of your neck as you lift up your chin parallel with the floor and stack your ears over your shoulders. And now think of just breathing the whole length of your spine. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. And let those little intercostal muscles between your ribs get involved in your breath. And think more about your rib cage expanding as you inhale. And then drawing back in as you exhale. And try to hold on to this relaxed breath that expands your rib cage in 360 degrees. As we move, you can open your eyes. I'm going to narrow my knees just a little bit and flex my feet and just bring my feet underneath my calves here. And then take your right hand outside your left knee and reach your left arm back. Find a twist. And then a side bend. So lean over to your right and bring that left arm alongside your ear. And then circle down so you cross your arms and bring your left hand to your right knee. Open out and just reach your right arm back and find that twist. And then arm over your ear, find a little side bend, and then crisscross your arms. And really let yourself round, stretch between your shoulder blades, and then peel yourself open to your twist. And you can kind of go through this at your own pace. Really letting yourself kind of feel where the stretch feels good, pausing where you want to. Just swim around. And let's maybe go through one more time, both directions. And release your arms and rock forward onto your hands and knees. Bring your block with you and place it underneath your left hand. So we've got a block under hand, and your other hand can just be flat on the floor. And we've got kind of this asymmetrical level with our shoulders. Just play with some cat and cow here. And drop your belly and then round it. And then come to a neutral spine. So your spine's neutral. Push into this left hand that's on the block. Flex through your right wrist and just use that left hand pushing into the block to lift your straight right arm up off the floor. So the effort actually will be in that left shoulder as you push into the block and lift your hand up. Or book whatever you've got under your hand. And so feel that start to warm up that left shoulder. And then land that right hand on the ground. Take your block into your left palm and just hold it with your palm face up. And then send it straight out in front of you. Now notice what happens to your rib cage. See if you can soften your low front ribs in. Okay, don't exaggerate your lower back curve as you reach that. Keep that neutral spine and reach it forward. Hand flat, so you've got to externally rotate through your shoulder. Now, bend through your elbow, draw your block in towards your chest, and then send it back behind you. Find this extension through your shoulder. And keep that block flat on your hand. And just kind of go back and forth. And find some external rotation in that right shoulder that's grounded. Serving a platter forward and back. Next time you get forward, come up to a kneel and step your right foot forward. So you're here in a lunge. Now flex through your wrist and try to bring your block straight up as much as you can, softening those front low ribs in, and then just rotate through your shoulder with that flexed wrist. And then bring your block forward, bend through your elbow, just kind of like we did on our table. Go underneath your armpit and send your block back behind you. And find that extension of your shoulder as much as you can, keeping your block balanced. So try not to grip it with your finger, you're just balancing it. And then come back. Lift it up. And now turn your fingers away from you and see if you can kind of find a circle. So I'm internally rotating that shoulder. You can lean your torso as much as you need. Reach it out to the side. Bend your elbow and come back through. You're going to drop your block probably. See if you can do it that way a few times. So taking it out to the side and then rotating. Lean as much as you need to. Oh, I'm going to drop it. Okay, and then we'll switch directions. Bend that elbow, bring it around. See if you can reach it out to the side and overhead. So this is just play, experiment. Drop your block as many times as you need to. Go ahead and now bring your block down inside that right foot. Knee, toe that left knee back maybe a little further, and just play here in your lunge. You can do some shoulder circles, lengthen and straighten that right leg. Get into your hamstring. And then step back into your table and just bring the block underneath your right hand now, other hand. And find some cat and cow with this asymmetrical arrangement of your shoulders. And then find your neutral spine with those low ribs softened in, and then push into that right hand to float your flexed left hand up off the floor. So flex through that left wrist. So you just keep the same arrangement as if it's still on the floor, but it just floats. That straight left arm floats up. So you've got this protraction happening in your right shoulder blade and then retraction. And just isolating that work in your right shoulder. Let's do one more. Ground through your left hand and then take your block into your right and just reach it forward and hold here. It's totally different for me on this side. Soften those front ribs in and lift that block up as high as you can with that flexion in your shoulder, keeping the integrity of your spine. So you can see mine doesn't lift super high. Now bend your elbow, bring your block towards your chest, and then send it back. And then flex through your, extend through your shoulder as you reach back. And now just go back and forth, kind of serving a platter, forward and back. And letting your brain kind of learn this balance and feedback of your block. Next time your right hand comes forward, just come up to kneeling and step your left foot forward. And then flex through your wrist and just reach your block high and just kind of spin it around. Flexing through your wrist. Turn your fingers forward, that arm forward. Bend through your elbow, bring your block in, and then under your armpit, and bring it back. Just like we were doing in table, you can do that a few times. And then bring it up. See if you can spin. So spin to the side, spin back, and then spin forward. You might have to lean to bring it around underneath your armpit and forward. And just circle that way. It's like this full spiral. Playing with your shoulder, but also the balance of your block. You might drop it. And after you've gone this direction a few times, just play with the other. Bringing it under, out, around, and up. One way might be a lot simpler than the other way. See if you can just have your block balancing on your hand, not gripping it with your fingers or your book. You're doing this with like a copy of Les Miserables or something. All right, go ahead and bring your block down inside that left foot and lengthen your lunge as much as you want to. You can kind of circle through your hips here. Bend and straighten into that left leg. And just greet your hamstrings. And then place your hands down to the mat. Take your left foot back into your table. And now we'll play with our hip hinge. So we'll be moving back toward a child's pose. So really think about keeping integrity in your spine, especially your low back, the back of your pelvis. And we'll move here right at our hip hinge. So start with your block right on your sacrum, in the back of your pelvis. And you can start with it on the lowest height. Be here in your table. Now send your hips back without making your block fall. So if you start to round your lower back, your block's going to fall off. So see if you can find this moving back with just a hinge at your hips. So really feel that right here, that flexion through your hips. If it's easy on this height, you can up the ante by moving it to another height. If you've got a book, that probably won't work, but if you've got a block, see if you can keep your balance, moving your hips toward your heels without tucking your tailbone, right? You're going to keep that integrity of your sacrum. And let's just play with one more. Lean back with that little bit of a balance there. And see how far back you can get your hips towards your heels without dropping your block. I can feel it wobble. And then come back up to your table. Take your block and bring it between your thighs. So, and I've got it kind of flush with the front of my legs. But squeeze that block between your thighs and feel like you're sending it toward the wall behind you. Now you can kind of find that little bit of a cow, drop your belly, tuck your toes, squeeze your hands toward each other without moving them anywhere. Externally rotate your upper arms and then lift your hips up and back into a downward facing dog here with the block between your legs. And just feel the support of that feedback of the block. Squeezing your block with your thighs and then pushing it back behind you. Now soften your front low ribs in and lengthen through your outer armpits. Walk your hands back towards your feet. So you're here in a standing forward fold. And really think of that hip hinge that we did in our table. Squeeze your block and push it back behind you. And lengthen out through your spine. And then you can soften. Bend through your knees. And then inhale, come up into a chair pose with that block between your thighs. Soften your front low ribs in. Bend into your knees, squeeze your block, and feel like you're pushing your block away. So you find that broadening in the back of your pelvis. with the feedback of your block. And then come all the way up to standing. Drop your hands and just stand in your Tadasana with the block between your thighs. Feet are parallel. Squeeze your block, send it toward the wall behind you, and then zip up your lower belly. Soften your front low ribs down, and let your palms face forward so you're broad through your collarbones. But don't be rigid with any of the effort. Have plenty of flexibility that you can breathe. Reach your arms high, sit back in your chair, and then bow into your standing forward fold. Keep a hold of your block, and one handprint at a time, just walk yourself forward to a plank. And find your plank holding this block between your thighs. If you need to bring your knees down, that's fine. Just feel that integrity still of engaging your inner thighs against your block, and then externally rotate your upper arm so your elbow creases are rotating forward-ish. And then lower all the way to your belly. Keep that block between your thighs. If you need to adjust it so it's not sticking out toward the floor and your thighs can stick the floor or touch the floor, do that. But still squeeze that block between your thighs. Let your feet be as wide as they need to be, and bring your hands back by your hips. Push down into your pubic bone as much as you can with this block between your thighs. And then lift your head and chest. Lift both legs with that squeeze. Reach your arms back. Internally rotate your shoulders, and then externally rotate your shoulders. Internally rotate and externally rotate. Squeeze your block. Find space in the back of your sacrum and lengthen through the whole length of your spine. Internally and externally rotating your arms. See if you can maybe lift them a little bit higher. And then release. Just bring one cheek to the floor. Rest for a breath. And then bring your arms out to a T. Squeeze your block, look forward, and then lift up in your Shalabhasana, your locust pose, with your arms straight out to a T. Squeezing into your block, space in the back of your sacrum and your lower back. Internally rotate, externally rotate. And just play with that effort. Lengthen the back of your neck. Let's do one more internal, external. Lower down, bring your other cheek to the floor. Let go for a breath. Look forward, bring your arms not straight overhead, kind of more like a Y, like 45 degrees toward the corners. Squeeze your block. Lift both legs, lift your head and chest, lift your arms. Oh, this part's hard. Internal, external rotation of your shoulders. So you're not moving at your wrists, you're moving at your shoulders. Lengthen through your spine. And then release down. Make a pillow for your forehead with your hands. Let your neck be symmetrical here. Lift your head, bring your hands under your shoulders. Push yourself up through a table. And then tuck your toes. Lift your hips up and back. Downward facing dog again with your block. And then walk your hands towards your feet again. And sit down in your chair. Reach your arms high. Come up to standing. And just remove your block. And we'll walk up to the top of the mat. Set your block down. And take your left foot and stand on your block. And let the triad of your foot, so your big toe ball mound, pinky toe ball mound, center of your heel, those are supported on the block. If your toes need to hang off, that's okay. And then go ahead and stand on your block and let your right leg just float. And then find some swings here. So let yourself be stable and strong through that left outer hip. And you've just got this pendulum swing of your right leg. And then maybe draw some circles. And go the other direction. And then soften into the standing leg. We're going to stand back into a high lunge with our foot on the block. Reach your arms high. Grab a hold of your right forearm with your left hand and then side bend over to your left. Let's get a nice long line through the front of that left hip. And then come back upright. You can release your hands. Ground through that back heel. And we'll open into a warrior two with our foot on our block. Just a different kind of sensation in our hip. And then you can lengthen and bend through that left knee. And go ahead and bend. We'll lift our back heel again. Find your lunge. Lean forward and see if you can come to standing balance with that left foot on your block. Just drag your right foot in. Come to your balance. And now we'll find our pelvic list. So you'll keep your right foot flexed and then just lower that straight right leg toward the floor by sending your left hip out. And then draw that left hip in to come back up. So you're using that left outer hip. Drop. Turn this way. Down and up. Let's just do 4 more. Ground through that left foot. Bring your foot up off of you can go down and grab your block. And then just cross your left ankle over your right knee and sit back. Just hold your block between your hands. Reach it straight forward. Keep your ribs down as you reach your arms up. Flex through your left foot, stretch through that hip. And then release. Bring that leg down. Put your block back on the floor and step on it with your right foot. And just pendulum swing your left leg. And then maybe some circles. And then your right knee, step your left foot back and find your lunge here, high lunge. Reach your arms up. Grab onto that left forearm, side bend to your right. So you're lengthening your whole left side. And come on up. Ground through that right heel, or left heel, sorry, and find your warrior two with your foot on your block. Just lengthen and bend through your right leg. one more. Bend into your knee. Lift that back heel. Reach your arm forward. Lean forward, ground into that right foot. See if you can come back to your standing balance. And then just let your left foot hover. Send your right hip out to drop that straight left leg to the toward the floor, and then lift and shift out and up and out and up. And move pretty slow and smooth and controlled. And then let your left foot come all the way to the floor. Step off of your block with that right foot. Bend over. Grab your block and then cross your right ankle over your left. Sit back in your figure four. Flex through that right foot and reach your block forward and up. And then go ahead and stand. Just bring your block down to the floor outside of your left foot. Come up and reach high. And then exhale, fold forward over your legs. Inhale, find a halfway lift. Exhale to fold, and then step your right foot back into a lunge. You can bring your hand to your block. You can have it inside or outside. I'm going to bring it inside of that left foot and straighten and bend that left leg. Here. And you can have your block on any height. Next time it's bent, take your block outside of your left foot. Lengthen through your left leg. Ground through your right heel and then open up into a triangle with your hand on a block outside of your foot. Push down into your left big toe ball mound. Ground through your right heel. Open through your heart. And then bring your right hand to your right hip. Bend into your left knee. Take your block forward in kitty corner from your left pinky toe. And then just slide up into a half moon. And then step your right foot to meet your left and bring your block over to the other side. Find a halfway lift. Exhale to fold. And then step back with your left foot. Bring your block inside your right foot and just straighten and bend. And you can change the height. And bend that knee. Bring your block outside of your foot. Lengthen through your right leg. Ground your left heel. Then open up into a triangle with your hand on your block. At any height, it can be the one that feels most spacious for you. And really think about your limbs reaching away from the center, even as you find that engagement of drawing everything into the middle. And bring your left hand to your left hip, bend into that right knee. Take your block kitty corner from your pinky toe. Slide in, find your half moon. Reach up. And then standing forward fold. Left leg down. And just let yourself bow. Kind of bring your block to the middle of the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. And then just step back into a plank. And then from there, lower all the way down to your belly. You bring your knees down and lower down however you want. Take your block between your hands and reach it forward. So we're coming into these Shalabasanas this time with the block between our hands instead of between our legs. So really push down into your pubic bone and imagine you've got that imaginary block between your inner thighs that you're pushing up toward the ceiling. And then squeeze your hands into your block. Lift your legs, lift your head and chest, reach high. And then lower down. Really keep pushing into your pubic bone, squeezing that imaginary block between your inner thighs to find space in your sacrum and lower back. And lift everything and lower. We'll just do that a few more times. Stay long through the back of your neck so you're not craning your neck. Now grab your block with your right hand and then just take it out and we'll just switch. We'll pass it behind our backs. So keep your legs lifted and we'll just kind of pass around in a circle a few times and then switch, passing with your left hand. Stay lengthened and lifted and then release. Make a pillow for your forehead. With your hands, take your bum. Hands under your shoulders, come up to table. And then bring your block back. Come to a standing kneel. And again, bring your block between your thighs. Tuck your toes and squeeze that block and send it back behind you. Reach your arms up and grab an imaginary pull down bar or pull up bar and just pull that down to really engage your whole lats, everything on your back body. And then hinge yourself back. And then reach your hands down, your palms face out. Maybe bring your hands to your lower back. Maybe bring them to your heels. And then push your hips forward into a camel. Anyway. So you're squeezing that block between your thighs. And then go ahead and come on up. Let's do that one more time. Reach up. Pull your bar down. Hinge back. Lengthen your arms, palms face out. Hands to your hips. And then find your camel. And just kind of keep some engagement through your neck. So you don't need to let your head hang back. See if you can lengthen. And then go ahead and come back up. Remove your block. Cross your ankles behind you. And just sit back. Lengthen your legs out in front of you. And place your block outside of your right ankle. Now, try to really have some integrity in your spine. So if you find your tailbone tucking underneath you, use your hands as a prop behind you to keep your spine long. Feel those sitting bones, your ischial tuberosities on the floor. And send your pubic bone down. Flex through your right foot. Lift it straight up over that block and down. Now you can play with your block on any height. So if you want to start with the middle height or the lower height, you can. Use your hands behind you, or you can have your hands at your heart. You just lift that leg, go over your block. Let's do one more. And then we'll just switch sides. Bring your block outside of your left leg. Find that integrity in your spine. Maybe the first few you do on a low height with your hands propping you up. And as you feel that integrity in your core, the strength in your hip flexors, maybe you float your hands up off the floor. But you're long through your spine. Maybe higher height. Back and forth there. Is one side easier than the other? Let's start the last one. Go ahead and come on in. And shake that out. Scoot your bum toward the middle of your mat. And just have your knees bent. Bring your block between your thighs again. You can hold on to the backs of your thighs. You can float your arms up. Come into a boat. And then from here, we'll slowly lower down to our backs. So slowly, slowly, slowly keep the engagement on your block. Lower yourself down. Then you can bring your feet to the floor. Squeeze into your block with your thighs. Feet are parallel. Draw your shoulder blades together and just find robot arms. So bend your elbows 90 degrees. Palms face each other, fingers face, reach toward the ceiling. And then push into your triceps, push into your inner feet. Lift your hips, squeeze your block, and then lower down. So don't worry about doing a sequential bridge. You can let your spine move in one piece here. And just lift and lower with that resistance of engaging your inner thighs on your block. Maybe lift your toes, but feel equal weight on the big toe ball mound, pinky toe ball mound, center of your heel. Ground your triceps into the floor. And then you can go ahead and hold your bridge up, drawing those triceps in. Feel like you're pulling your heels back toward your shoulders as you squeeze your block and kind of push it toward the floor. Lengthen through the front of your hip flexors. And then release everything down. Grab your block between your hands and then reach it overhead. Lengthen your legs. Drop your low ribs in. Float your hands up off the floor. Float the back of your head, lengthen through your neck, and then float both heels up off the floor. And now you can bend your knees or you can keep your legs straight. Reach your hands towards your feet and just bring your block between your feet. And then lengthen back out. And just pass it back and forth 4 or 5 times. And with the block in your hands, hold and then release. Bend your knees, feet flat on the floor. Just bring your block over to one side and find an easy bridge and bring your block under your sacrum. So either the middle height or the lowest height, and find a place where it can just support you and you can relax. You can stay here, or you can play with bringing your feet up off the floor. Maybe bend your knees in, or lengthen your legs up toward the ceiling with the block underneath your bum, the back of your sacrum. So, and you might have to adjust its place there to really have the support. Let your palms face up. Keep your gaze straight up at the ceiling. Just enjoy being upside down in this supported shoulder stand. And return back to your breath. Just return back to your breath. Let it slow and smooth. You can think of breathing into your chest and then your rib cage and then your belly, and emptying out belly, rib cage, chest. Just kind of feel like your legs are suspended if your legs are up. Just kind of floating there without any effort. It's perfectly balanced. And then we'll bend our knees. Bring feet to the floor if they aren't already. Lift your hips up off your block. Move it out of the way. Take your feet as wide as your mat. Just windshield wiper your legs from side to side. Bring your legs over to the right, and then just stack your right heel on top of your left knee, and then reach your left arm up alongside your ear. It's kind of this twist, lengthening. Release your arm, take your heel off your knee, and just switch sides. So wide feet, drop your knees to your right, to your left, and stack your left heel on top of your right knee. And then lengthen right arm up alongside your ear. Release that. We'll move into either seated meditation, or you can find yourself comfortably lying on the floor, either place that you want to be to end. So if you're ready to move up, just roll to one side, push yourself up. You can use your block as your meditation seat, or you can grab a cushion, blankets. If you're laying down and you want any props, set yourself up the most comfortable way possible. Maybe you've got a pillow under your head and a rolled blanket under your knees, or you've got a long pillow under your spine and your head. But just make your way so that you can be comfortable, supported. Spine long. We'll do a few minutes, like maybe 2 minutes of alternate nostril breathing, just to kind of get ourselves calibrated. So take your right hand, bring your second and third fingers into your palm. So you're going to use your ring finger and your thumb. So close your right nostril with your right thumb. So I'm not mirroring you, we'll be opposite. And breathe in through your left nostril. Pause at the top and then switch. Bring your ring finger to your left nostril. Exhale right. And slight pause at the bottom. Inhale right. And seal that right nostril with your thumb. Exhale left. Inhale left. And switch. Exhale right. Inhale right. Exhale left. Let your spine be tall and just go at your own pace here. Just pausing at the top of your exhale. Pausing at the bottom of your exhale. Sorry, pausing at the top of your inhale. Pausing at the bottom of your exhale. Notice if any tension is coming into your neck or your shoulders. See if you can relax. And with an exhale through your left side. And then release that right hand. And breathing freely. I'm going to read one of my favorite things about the breath. And this explanation is written by Richard Rohr, who was a Franciscan father. And I've read it before, but it's my favorite. I return to it over and over again in my own practice. He says, I cannot emphasize enough the importance of the Jewish revelation of the name of God. As we Christians spell and pronounce it, the word is Yahweh. In Hebrew, it is the sacred tetragrammaton, Yod, He, Ve, He. I am told that those are the only consonants in the Hebrew alphabet that are not articulated with the lips and tongue. Rather, they are breathed, with the tongue relaxed and the lips apart. Yod He Ve He was considered a literally unspeakable word for Jews, and any attempt to know what they were talking about was in vain. As the commandment said, do not utter the name of God in vain. All attempts to fully think God are in vain. For God's side, the divine identity was kept mysterious and unavailable to the mind. When Moses asked for the divinity's name, he received only the phrase that translates, I am who I am. This unspeakability has long been recognized, but now we know it goes even deeper. Formerly, the name of God was not, could not be spoken at all, only breathed. Many are convinced that its correct pronunciation is attempt to replicate and imitate the very sound of inhalation and exhalation. Therefore, the one thing we do every moment of our lives is to speak the name of God. This makes the name of God our first and last word as we enter and leave the world. When considered in this way, God is suddenly as available and accessible as the very thing we all do constantly, breathe. And so we can think that every time we return to the breath, right, we're returning to God. We can connect Yah on the inhale, Weh on the exhale. If that helps your mind. Or you can simply just breathe and know that is an unspeakable, personal, completely intimate connection with the divine. Notice if any tension has crept in your body, relax any place that's gripping. And let your attention just be on the inhale and the exhale. And bring your hands to your heart. Find that inner smile. The divine light in me honors the divine light in you. Namaste. And thank you, friends.